Charles Henderson wins. Charles Henderson wins as the Lady Trojans of Charles Henderson High School head back to the Final Four in high school girls basketball. Ladies and gentlemen, yesterday in Dothan, Charles Henderson beats Faith Academy. Faith tried to slow it down, but still lost by 14 to the Trojans. The Trojans shot just 20%. You can't shoot that poorly and expect to win a state championship, and hopefully Danessa Jones will have her team shooting better. They shot only 20%, but what did the opposing team shoot? They tried to slow it down and found a way to beat the Trojans, but it was all Charles Henderson against the Faith Academy, winning 36-22 in Dothan yesterday, and now the Trojans will take on Winona in the third consecutive year. So they'll play Winona right off the bat in the state playoffs, and that game will be played, the tip-off is scheduled for 3 p.m. on February the 28th at the Legacy Arena in Birmingham. And that should be a great game, and I'll tell you what a great job Danessa Jones and her team has done. And of course, leading the way again yesterday was Davenport, and also Tayana Seiler, who came through in the clutch for the Trojans as they won that basketball game. Davenport was held to not a big shooting day, but enough to win the game, and doesn't really give doesn't give any real score. Davenport had back baskets down the stretch to lead the Trojans, and of course now they head to Birmingham, as I mentioned, to play Winona, the defending state champion. Good picture in the Messenger today of the Trojan basketball team, and everybody's excited and happy and heading to Birmingham. It wasn't easy, but the Charles Henderson Lady Trojans advanced to Birmingham after knocking off Faith Academy 36-22. Trojans shot just 20% in the win, but a strong defensive effort and a lofty free throw percentage helped the Trojans pull out the win. We started off slow, said head coach Danessa Jones. It was a low-scoring game offensive-wise. We weren't rotating like we were supposed to. We had a bad shooting percentage, but the free throws in the end, and we talked about this Charles Henderson team and their free throw shooting. The Trojans defense held the Rams to just 25% shooting. So thank goodness when you're not shooting well, the other team you hold the other team down. Instead, of course, they came out and slowed it down, and the Rams led for much of the opening quarter, as many as 6 points. But Tayana Seiler gave Troy a big basket, and the Trojans led for the rest of the game. But it was, like you said, a tough ball game. But the Trojans prevail, and Nanera Jones, the coach's daughter, got 8 points in the win, and of course now they head on to Birmingham for a big game. Pike County Bulldogs lost a heartbreaker, losing 67-42 to Hillcrest of Evergreen. It was all about turnovers, as Pike County turned the ball over 29 times in the game, and just shot over 25%. So it just was not the time for the Bulldogs, Brundage, to make it to the Final Four. Of course, some other action. The Pike County Bulldogs baseball team beat Elba 9-8 yesterday. I was in Auburn last night and saw a great baseball game between Auburn and Troy. Auburn took the lead early in the fourth inning, going up 3-0. Then Troy came back in their half, scored 4 runs, led 4-3, and Then the two teams were tied at 5 going into the bottom of the ninth inning. Excuse me, top of the eighth inning, bottom of the eighth inning. Auburn scored 1 run. And then Troy had Lockridge, their outstanding player. Now, let me tell you, he is something to see, this center fielder for Troy. And he advanced all the way to third base with 1 out in the top of the ninth inning. But then the next Troy batter grounded out into a double play to end the game. Great ball game. Troy loses to Auburn 6-5 yesterday. Auburn then turns around and beats Alabama by 20 at the Auburn Arena last night. After, of course, that was a big game televised nationally, and of course Alabama didn't bring their shooting shoes on. I promise you, they were pretty much terrible shooting the basketball all night long. Auburn was red hot, even though 2 of their top players were injured and not able to play. So great effort by the Auburn Tigers. Of course, big weekend coming up, and a big game tonight, huge game tonight, as Troy University goes head-to-head with one of the top, the top team in the Sun Belt Conference, Louisiana Lafayette. And of course, Lafayette, one of the top teams in the country, was been in the top 25 most of the year, and is leading the conference in most all categories. It should be a big, great game as the women will tip it off at 4 o'clock, and then the men will tip it off around 7:30 tonight. So come on out and fill the arena and for this big basketball game. Kids under 12 and under kids will get in free, and also there's going to be some giveaways. There's also going to be some discounts on food. It's going to be a great game, so make your plans now to come out to the Trojan Arena. Again, that game will start at 5 p.m. with the Trojan ladies will go up against Louisiana Lafayette at 5, and then the men around 7:15. Good morning. You're on Today in L.A. How you doing?
Mike Amos, Bud, Lou Verne.
Bud from Luverne, Alabama. How you doing, friend?
Doing good. I want to make a comment on last night's basketball game.
All right.
What I'm fixing to say on the Alabama front, that Alabama at this point in time could very well be an NIT basketball team. Bama's got Florida, Arkansas, and Texas A&M left. They've done lost to Kentucky and Auburn back-to-back. They could very well end the season on a 5-game losing streak, and I don't see them losing 5 games in a row at the end, making the NCAA.
Doesn't sound very good. I tell you what, they sure didn't shoot the ball very well last night, did they?
Well, here's the thing. I had thought all week, and I told some friends that what they should have done was pounded into Giddens and Dante and all that. They should have pounded it inside. Instead, they tried to. Of course, the Auburn guy was hot there. They were hot all night, you know.
Yeah, I think they hit something like 15 threes, didn't they? That's pretty hard to beat right there.
They hit on the threes. They hit 12.
12, okay.
They hit 12. Took 34 shots and hit 12 of them from the 3-point mark. But let me tell you this. Let me tell you what Alabama, in my opinion, biggest problem is. And Mike, your son said this a while back. I don't think, in my opinion, that Avery Johnson is a motivator. I think that's our biggest problem is right there is he cannot motivate them. Now, the reason they win the big games at Coleman is because they feed off the crowd.
That's right.
And I don't know if he's good at making game decisions and changing situations during games.
Yeah.
Right now I'm very disappointed in Alabama to play like they did in the middle of the year and could very well go on. And listen, even though, Florida, Arkansas, right now Alabama's sitting 8th in the conference.
Yeah.
And, even Mississippi State has jumped out in the conference. to third in the conference with a 19-8 record. And if we go on a if they go on a 5-game losing streak, I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, I don't either. And you know, Petty, you know, who shot lights out against Auburn at Alabama. In fact, if he doesn't shoot lights out, they lose Auburn at Alabama. It's just no question about it that Auburn's a better basketball team, don't you think?
Auburn's a better basketball team, but let me give you, in my opinion, the point and reason Alabama lost to Kentucky and Auburn. Alabama cannot play defense with a lengthy, talented, quick team. Kentucky and Auburn both they don't have the big height, but their length. Yeah. They're long bodied. They got the length and they got the quickness, and that's why Alabama against Kentucky and Auburn got out rebounded. They just can't play against length.
And you're exactly right. And Auburn was playing with just 7 scholarship players.
7 scholarship players.
And you know, and 2 or 3 starters that were gone last night, weren't they?
Well, they had the kid that broke his ankle against South Carolina. Then they had a kid that didn't play last night because of an illness.
Yeah.
They were down to 7 scholarship ball players.
No question. I'm gonna put you on hold 1 second. I'm gonna put you on hold. If I lose you next, call me back now. I'm gonna put you on hold. Let's see here. All right, Mike, you on?
Yeah.
Bud, you on from Luverne? Hey, Bud. Oh, boy, Bud. Hopefully Bud will call back. And Mike Amos is calling in from Birmingham. And we're talking about Alabama basketball last night, Mike. It wasn't very pleasant. Here comes Bud back. Hold on a second. Let me get him here. All right, Bud, we on now?
This is Will Matthews.
Oh, Will Matthews calling in. All right, Will, I'm gonna put you on hold.
The great Will Matthews.
Will, I got you and Will on there instead of Bud. How's everything going, Will?
Well, I went to my first basketball game in 4 or 5 years last night.
Carroll High School.
Auburn, Alabama.
Oh, you at the game?
Yes.
I was at the baseball game.
I could have had dinner. Dad was at the baseball game.
I tell you what, that was a hard sellout at that basketball game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And I tell you what, I love Auburn's basketball team.
They can shoot it, can't they?
And they play up tempo. You know, my dad was a big basketball fan, and you know, growing up, he used to go take me to Vandy games in Nashville, and he had a saying. You don't play YMCA basketball with the YMCA champ. And Alabama played right into Auburn's hands. They should have slowed it down and, you know, just tried to play a half-court game, and Auburn ran them out of the gym.
Yeah, Alabama tried to get a shooting contest with Auburn and got their brains beat up.
Yeah, you can't do that.
No question about it.
That was one of the worst. I mean, Alabama's big guys last night ought to just, like, be ashamed of themselves. I mean, they're letting 6'3" guys dunk on them, strip them, steal them, out-rebound them, out-hustle them. I mean, Avery Johnson, I'm starting to think can recruit. I don't know if he's a good coach. I'll be honest with you.
Well, you know, Bud called in from Luverne this morning, and he says the same thing, Mike. He doesn't think he can motivate players, you know?
Well, that was embarrassing last night.
Yeah, well, no question about it. Troy lost a heartbreaker to Auburn last night. It was 5-5 going into the 8th. Auburn scored a run. And then in the top of the 9th, Troy, they've got a center fielder, Mike. It's the best I've ever seen that Troy can fly. His name is Lockridge. And he was on third base with 1 out in the top of the 9th. And the worst thing that happened. They grounded into a double play to end the game.
Yeah, now you got to go to Tallahassee and play 3 straight against Florida State.
No question about it.
I know a lot about the baseball team this weekend.
Of course, Will Matthews is on from Ozark, Bud. If you can, call back in. We'll try to get put 3 of you on the line. It'd be a lot of fun. I tell you.
What did you think about Bubba winning this past weekend? Were you happy to see that?
Boy, I loved it. Didn't you love it, Will? Don't you like old Bubba?
You know, Bubba has never had a golf lesson in his life.
I know.
And you know, know, I love to watch him.
And you know something, Will, the bad thing about it, Faldo and people like that, I think they make they make fun of him a little bit because of that, and they think that he's a oddball, but you know, he hits the ball solid every time, doesn't he?
Well, I think what Faldo says, and it's probably true. If Bubba Watson dedicated himself to the game and worked on his game, he would be one of the superstars in golf.
Yeah.
Just
Well, you know, he looks so unorthodox, especially with a tee shot. He looks like he's fixing to hit the ball out to left field, Will, but I reckon the whole key is what the club face does. Is that right?
yeah, he curves the ball. He's a field player, but
I mean, he's really sort of like one of these guys that could go and go to a country club and put on an exhibition of trick golf. Is that right?
well, let me tell you. See, Bubba Watson has won 10 times since he's been a pro on the tour. 5 of those 10, 3 have been at Riviera, and 2 have been.
That's right. He loves those golf courses, doesn't he?
And the reason is, at Riviera, you can hit it anywhere. It's not
It's wide open.
where you hit it off the tee. And Augusta's the same way. You can spray the ball all over the lot. You know, it's a wide open game. There are no water hazards at Riviera.
Yeah.
None. There's nowhere you can lose strokes with an errant tee shot.
Yeah, no question.
Augusta's about the same way. Your tee ball at Augusta, there are no water hazards off the tee. If you've ever thought about it, there's not a single tee shot you can hit at Augusta, the 14 tee balls you hit, but you can hit it in the water. The only possible one is 13, and you know it's got the creek running down the left side. But my God, there's 100 yards out to the right.
Well, you have to make a decision now on what is it, on 15 or 16, where you got to either try to hit it over the water or hit it up short, or hit it short.
All right, that's 15.
15. Now that water comes into play.
Oh, absolutely, but it's on your second shot. It's not on your first shot.
Yeah, that's right. It's on your
If
second
you're a-
shot.
If you're a crooked driver, you can get away with just about anything at Augusta.
I tell you something else Bubba has though too. He has a lot of touch putting. You know, he is a good long distance putter as far as getting in. You know, what we call lag putter. He's a great lag putter.
And you know what? He's a horrible bunker player.
Is he?
Yeah, he's terrible. And he's probably ranked at the bottom of the PGA Tour in bunker shot. Yet he holed one out to win, during
Yeah, exactly.
13, 14,
Yeah.
he made one. He flunked one.
Now he's from a little bitty town called Baghdad, Florida, which is right near Milton. And now he learned to play golf in that at that course right there that's closed now, which was pretty much a course with no trees. Isn't that right?
That's right. You're right.
And that closed. Of course, Heathcliff Slocum and your other buddy all played.
Basically.
Yeah, Boo Weekly all played together there, didn't they?
Yes. I think Slocum's a little younger, but yeah, they did.
You notice that
That probably puts Bubba in the Hall of Fame. 10 wins and two majors probably gets you in.
Oh yeah, it will.
well, he claims that he's contemplated on retirement, but I think that he's way too young to retire, isn't he? How old is Bubba?
I think Bubba's 41 or 2.
He just turned 40 this
Yeah. Well, I tell you something about him. He's a very emotional guy, and and the players. And why is this? The players don't like him. Why is that? Is it because he marches to his own drummer, or what?
I have no idea.
But isn't that true about him? He doesn't have a lot of friends on the tour.
Yeah, he definitely does. Rubs people the wrong way. That's true about that.
Of course, one of his friends, though, is the little guy that wears orange all the time.
Ricky Fowler.
Yeah, I think Ricky Fowler, he and Ricky Fowler are pretty good friends. But it's...
We lost the great one yesterday, Will. Billy Graham died.
Hey, if I've ever felt if any one person to me he was the closest thing to God that the United States and the world had, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I will tell you a Billy Graham story that's kind of funny. My mother, I turned 16, and my mother wanted to go see Billy Graham in Birmingham. So I drove my mother and 3 of her to Birmingham to Legion Field, and that place was packed.
Uh-huh.
And to a thing, and Coach Bryant was there.
Yeah.
Joe Namath was there, and I'm trying to think, there were a lot of celebrities there.
He was a great man. And you know, he was like me and you, really, the kind of person he was. He lived that kind of life, you know. Everybody was his friend, you know.
Oh yeah.
And of course, I hear my granddaughter in the background. Mike, is she talking this morning?
Yeah, she's talking and trying to eat a little breakfast this morning.
And of course,
you got both your granddaughters in here.
Yeah.
Billy Graham came to Dothan back in the 60s.
I saw that last night.
I don't remember it, but I've had several people on Facebook that were there and said he packed Rip Hughes Stadium back in the 60s.
Yeah.
I mean, he came to Dothan, and he came to Dothan because his sister-in-law lived in Dothan.
Uh-huh.
And for a while, and they're probably dead, but whoever it was, but he came to Dothan.
That's amazing.
He went everywhere.
Well, he's a great man, and this world is, the whole world shocked by it. Of course, he was 99 years old, and lived a great life. And of course, his son is an evangelist, and he'll keep preaching the gospel, I'm sure.
Yeah, Franklin Graham. I've heard him speak at the University of Alabama.
And they say that the next rising star is his grandson, and his name's Will Graham.
Oh, okay.
And he's going all over the world now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see back to basketball. I just don't see Alabama getting in it. I mean, I know they're 5-1 against ranked teams, or 5-2 now, I guess, against ranked teams. But I think they'll lose to Arkansas in Tuscaloosa on Saturday, and then I think they'll lose at home to Florida. And then I think that last game of the year, I think when they go on the road against A&M, against Texas A&M, they'll lose.
Well, Bud from Luverne just said those same things, Mike, and he feels the same way.
If they get a 17 and 14, there's just no way they get in the NCAA tournament. They'd have to win the SEC tournament.
Michael, this is what you look at. What is their SEC record?
Well, the SEC record's 8-7 right now.
All right, if they finish 9-9, they will get in the tournament, I promise you.
Yeah, I mean, their strength of schedule is great. I mean, their RPI is great. I mean, but just the way they're trending, they've now lost 2 in a row by double digits. I mean, the Auburn game last night, I mean, I'll be honest with you. At halftime, when it's 40-35, the way Sexton started playing, I thought that Alabama would come out and possibly win the game, but then Auburn just absolutely destroyed them.
Well, you can't foul Auburn. Auburn is the leading free throw shooting team in the Southeastern Conference, and
Dad and I've been over there to that arena, and that arena is small. It holds about 9,000, but I tell you, it is loud as it can be.
Yeah, it's a fan-friendly arena, no question.
Michael, whoever designed that arena, it's a lot like Memorial Gym in Nashville in that the seats are real close to the floor.
Yeah.
It goes straight up, kind of. It doesn't go back like Coleman Coliseum. If you're at the top of the thing, you're a long way from the floor.
Yeah.
You're pretty close to the floor, and the noise in that place is incredible.
Yeah. I listened to it on TV. On radio. Coming back from Auburn last night, I went to the baseball game.
Sonny Smith does the color.
And oh man, what a great job! What a great job he does. He is worth just listening to the games.
Yeah, he is 80 years old.
Sonny Smith is over 80 years old.
I did not realize he was that old.
Yes.
Wimp's 79, I think.
And I tell you, he's a very nice guy, Sonny Smith is.
Yeah.
In fact, he used to call this show a lot, and I might try to get him on this. Does Sonny and Wimp still have a show, Mike?
No, Wimp does a show with his son Barry Sanderson in
Yeah.
Tuscaloosa every day.
Is it a good show?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Of course, Will, what's your plan for the weekend? We got a heck of a game in Troy tonight. Troy and Lafayette going at it at 7:15.
Yeah, I've got a Republican meeting in Montgomery this weekend.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah.
And, well, tell me about this. Bobby Bright is changing over from, and that's the only reason he lost last time was that he was a Democrat. Now he's a Republican. What do you think about that? Is that legal?
Yeah, that happens all the time.
Are y'all gonna vote on that tonight or this weekend?
I mean, well, wasn't Richard Shelby at one time a Democrat?
Yep, Kay Ivey was a Democrat.
Yeah. Well, she's still a Democrat, isn't she?
No, she's Republican.
Oh, okay. All right, I got you. But are they going to? I mean, aren't they? They're trying to make some big to do over this thing.
They're going to try to throw him out at this meeting.
All right, that's what I was wondering. Was that the reason for the meeting?
No, this is the state executive committee meeting, and on the executive committee there's what they call the steering committee, which is 21 members of the executive committee, and they're going to vote Saturday afternoon whether he can stay on the ballot or they're going to throw him off.
So what I mean is this all Roby just not wanting to run against him?
Yeah, but I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. They're going to throw him off, and he's going to run independent, and he will be stronger as
Yeah.
independent than he would.
I've known him a long time. He's a great guy. He's from Ozark.
I went to high school with him.
Yeah, from Ozark, and his wife and I worked together for 25 years. I've known Lynn, his wife, who's a judge now, or used to be a judge.
He's retired now.
Yeah, but great people. They really are great people, and it was a shame he got caught up in that last time.
Mike, he had 13 brothers and sisters.
Yeah, I heard that. He was what's the name of that little community he was from? Echo, wasn't it? Echo. And we had a great representative from Echo who was a great friend of mine. You remember him?
Well, there's been.
He's not living now. He's dead now. But he was from Echo.
You talking about Earl Hutto?
No, not Earl Hutto, but I know Earl Hutto.
Well, Earl Hutto was from.
This was a state legislature. Earl Hutto was in Florida, wasn't he?
Yeah, but he was from Echo.
I didn't know that. Who is the guy? What was the guy's name? Long-time Dale County guy, and he was from Echo. He's a state representative for a long time.
Oh, you talking about Punk Covington?
Yeah, Punk Covington. How can you forget Punk Covington, Will?
Punk Covington was from Bertha.
Bertha, okay.
Out there in that part of the county, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Long of Skipperville beat Charles Henderson 10-0 the other day. Boy, they play baseball out there, don't they?
Well, they're great. I mean, they're like pros out there.
They really are.
Does this mean that Jalen Hurts is going to transfer when Alabama's got a grad transfer quarterback coming in from East Carolina?
You know who that is, don't you, Mike? You know who that kid is, don't you?
He's 6'2", 215 pounds.
He signed originally with Troy. Did you know that?
His name is Gardner Minshew.
That's right.
Right, he did.
And Mike, he signed originally with Troy, and then East Carolina, I reckon, is, and they think they can get a hardship to come to Alabama because that's where his family's from, and he's got some sickness in his family. They think they can give him a hardship and get him at Alabama.
He's from Brandon, Mississippi.
Yeah. Okay. But we'll back to golf a little bit, and back to Bubba Watson, and I really like Bubba Watson. In fact, he's one of my favorite players. He's different, and like you said, he's never had a lesson, and he doesn't hit golf balls the way you're supposed to hit them. and that's why all these commentators don't give him much respect. Why is that?
Well, he's just a different type player.
You know, they claimed that the last 2 years he only had one in 2 years. He said he wasn't hitting the ball far. Well, I saw him hit a drive last Sunday that was 365 yards.
Yeah, he's always been able to hit it a long way. There's no question about that.
Well, now everybody says that you can't be tall and be good. Now how tall are you? 6'2", 6'3"? How tall are you, Will?
6'3".
6'3". All right, Bubba, what? 6'4", 6'5"?
Tall guy.
All right. Name me some great tall golfers. And ladies and gentlemen, you won't hear many of them. That were great tall golfers. Who were they?
Tom Weiskopf was tall.
Yeah, he was about 6'2", 6'3".
I mean, Andy North won 2 majors. He was tall.
He was tall, and then Phil Mickelson was pretty tall.
Mickelson was pretty tall, but
Mickelson's 6'3".
there were not a lot of tall golfers.
I think Faldo's.
How tall is Faldo?
I think he was real tall.
We're talking about over 6'2". You know, I would call that tall.
How tall is Greg Norman? He looked like he was a big guy.
Will, how tall are these guys? I can't hear you very good, Will, for some reason. Well, one of the problems, all right, why is this? Is it because they have to have a longer swing, or what's the deal?
I don't know. Nicholas was like 5'10" or 11. He was
Yeah.
not even
And Arnold Palmer, what, 5'10" or 5'11"?
about 6 feet, 6'1" maybe.
Yeah.
Arnold was about 6 feet tall.
All right. Why is this that you don't see many good tall golfers?
Well, because your swing, if you're tall, your swing is a little longer and it's hard to be accurate with a longer swing. That's what Mickelson's problem always has been, his accuracy.
Well, I mean, Dustin Johnson's the best player in the world.
Yeah, how tall is he now? He's pretty tall.
He's 6'3" or 4". Yeah.
He looks like a Texas gunfighter, doesn't he? Oh, you know, he looks like a
The
Texas.
golfer that was 6'4" is B.J. Singh.
Yeah, he was tall. Yeah.
B.J. Singh was pretty tall, but it is amazing though that the top golfers overall are not very tall, or under 6 feet tall normally.
But
Yeah, the
you
guy
just
that
think of all the short-
finished second above Finau, the guy that finished second this past weekend, 6'6".
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Well, that is a little.
There's plenty of golfers.
But if you look at it though, totally though, it's not but maybe 5 or 10 tall golfers that really are excelling on the tour.
For every tall golfer, you can name 5 or 6 short golfers
Yeah.
that are, up there too. Like, just
And-
think over the years, Trevino, Gary Player, Gene Littler, little guys that could play golf.
Was the great one from South America? Was he tall?
No, Player's about 5'8".
Not Player. The great one.
Roberto DiVincenzo.
No, the closest thing to Bubba Watson.
Ernie Els.
No, from who? Oh, he told me, and I can't hear. He's dead now. He died of cancer. Great player.
No, you're thinking about Seve Bass.
Yeah, Seve. How tall was Seve?
Seve wasn't very tall.
Yeah. Now Seve was a lot like Bubba. He did things differently. Isn't that right?
Seve could make a par out of a garbage can.
I know, but so what I'm saying, he was a little bit awkward in a way, wasn't he?
He was a great player.
Yeah. But I mean, what I'm saying, he was a little unorthodox compared to some of the all-time greats. And the way he swung it. Of course, the great one was who was the one of my favorite players? Not Divicino, but who was he was a Latin player that had the crazy swing. Oh shoot! I can't remember. I'm trying to remember these.
You talking about Chichi Rodriguez?
Yeah. Chichi Rodriguez, or Chichi. What's his name? Chichi.
Rodriguez.
Now I used to watch him. I go to the Legends tournament every year and watch him hit. and he didn't hit it like everybody else. Trevino didn't hit it like everybody else either, did he?
No, Trevino had a very unique swing.
Now he was one of probably the best 100-yard and in golfers ever, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, he was
Wedge.
great.
I mean wedge. I mean he was one of the best wedge golfers, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Will, when you were growing up, you using a 9-iron. How far did you hit a 9-iron?
When I was growing up,
Or when you were playing at Vanderbilt, how far did you hit a 9-iron?
probably 120 yards.
120 yards. All right, a pitching wedge, about 110.
110.
I promise you, I saw a guy Saturday that hit a pitching wedge 200 yards.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's why they're doing now. They're hitting those wedges from 200 yards in. Is that right?
Well, the pitching wedge has probably got 9-iron loft, and the ball's going forever. You know,
Yeah.
they've got these.
How many different lofts and how many wedges can you carry in your bag if you were a pro?
Well, I mean, you can carry as many as you want to, but you only get 14 clubs.
14
so most
clubs.
Of them have 3 wedges.
All right, in your bag right now, what is the degree wedges that you have, and what's the difference? Is it
Well, I've got a 60 degree that I use in bunkers.
it's a pitching wedge instead of a sand wedge?
This is a lob wedge. I've got a 60 degree, and then I've got a 56 degree sand wedge, and then I've got a 46 degree pitching wedge, and I've got a 52 degree gap wedge.
So you carry 4 wedges in your bag?
Yes.
Golly. Now, anything under 100 yards, anything under 100 yards, you use a wedge then, sand wedge. Is that right?
Yeah. One of them, yeah.
Not a pitching wedge, but a sand wedge. Is that right?
I hit my lob wedge 50 to 60 yards, and I hit my regular sand wedge from 60 to 80, and then my gap wedge from 80 to 100, and then my pitching wedge 100 to 115.
All right, something that a guy told me one time, that a lot of pros, and I've seen them do this before, will hit up short sometimes, around 100 yards, 110 yards, so they can use the wedge. A pro gets into trouble if he's got a pitch shot within 50 yards. Is that right? Isn't it hard for somebody to hit a pitch shot 50 yards?
Yeah, it's very hard to control the distance.
So they would rather be able to take a full swing at it. Is that right?
That's right. You're right.
And something about a woman golfer, they swing the same way every time. Is that true? Anything from 100 yards and out, they same swing every time. Is that right?
Yeah, most women sweep the ball and don't put much spin on the ball. They don't have the strength to do it.
Yeah, I know, but they have the same swing every time. Is that right?
Well, I mean, if you're a pro though, there's some women pros that hit the ball a lot better than I do.
All right, who is the best player in the world, or the best player ever driving a golf ball? Not just in distance, but in accuracy.
And I tell you, Dustin Johnson hits the ball straight and long, and that's.
So you would think he's one of the best drivers of all time?
Oh yeah, he hits the ball 340 yards with a fade, and he's a straight driver.
Now Mickelson's very similar to what you were talking about earlier. He needs a wide open golf course, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's wild.
See, he's wild off the tee, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
I saw an interview last night with Tiger, and Tiger says the problem he's having, he said he's hitting the balls good, but he said he just can't, his body won't do the things that it was able to do before, like give him a different way he hits the golf ball.
Well, he's got to relearn how to hit the ball because of his back.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying, he said he can't do he can't, how he used to take those big swings and all that, and turn, quick turns. He can't do that anymore, can he?
He's got to change his
So he's not a golfer right now that will turn on the golf ball. Is that right? Will Matthews. So we lost Will. Mike, you still with us? We lost Mike Amos, and we're going to take a short break. We'll be back right after this.
I'm here, but I got to run.
Okay, hey, good to hear from you, my
Here's some Napa know-how for you. Your local Napa Auto Parts store in Troy is under new ownership with an all-new, fully stocked store. Big deal, you say? Big deal, we say. Like the ownership, the store has a new look, too. We're still delivering the same Napa quality and know-how, but we've increased our inventory and are committed to helping you find the parts you need when you need them. So come check us out. We've got the right part at the right price at the right time.
Know-how, Napa know-how.
The new Smokehouse Pizza from Little Caesars is our first pizza with 3 smoked meats. So we got barbecue champion Big Mo Queson to test it out. 8-hour smoked brisket.
Certified beefified.
10-hour smoked pulled pork.
Certified hoggified.
Applewood smoked bacon.
Certified baconfied.
Drizzled with tangy barbecue sauce plus a Smokehouse seasoned crust.
Certified smokified.
The new Smokehouse Pizza. Only $9 and only at Little Caesars.
If you've had an accident or just want a new look for your vehicle, come see us at Troy Paint and Body, where we do it right the first time. Our staff has more than 100 years combined experience and can handle repairs and paint work on any make or model. We also offer a lifetime guarantee as long as you own your vehicle. Now that shows we stand behind our work. And our 24-hour towing service means we're here when you need us. So come see us at Troy Paint and Body, located on South Brundage Street in Troy beside the post office. Troy Paint and Body, where we may meet by accident, but you'll be glad we did.
Troy Cable Security Wi-Fi doorbell camera allows you to answer the door from your smartphone when you are at home, at work, or on the go. When a visitor presses the button, Troy Cable Security sends a live video feed to your smartphone so you can see, hear, and speak to the person at your door. With the doorbell camera, you can have your porch light turn on automatically when it detects motion at night to create the appearance that someone is at home. You can view video clips so you can always know who stopped by when you are out. Troy Cable Security. You love them, protect them.
Back to our show, ladies and gentlemen. Again, congratulations to Charles Henderson High School girls making it back to the Final Four in 5A basketball, and they'll play the defending 3-time, maybe 4-time defending state champion Winona Birmingham. They'll play them on the 28th, and I'm trying to figure out when the 28th will be. Today's the 22nd. Tomorrow's the 23rd. The 24th is Saturday, the 25th is Sunday, the 26th is Monday, the 27th is Tuesday, and the 28th will fall on a Wednesday. So next Wednesday from the Birmingham Jefferson, or what they call the Legacy Arena in downtown Birmingham, Charles Henderson will try to win its first ever state championship in girls basketball. In softball, Charles Henderson's girls led by Tucker Earls, one of my all-time favorite names, Tucker Earls and Molly Kate Sanders, 2 young ladies that have been playing softball with each other all their lives, hit back-to-back doubles in the top of the 7th inning to break a 3-all tie and give the Trojans a victory. Sanders, Earls, and Sydney Armstrong, that's Neil's daughter, had 3 hits each. And Emma Kirkpatrick pitched a 4 innings of shutout ball, and Sydney Garrett had 8 strikeouts in the final innings as the Trojans beat the Bobcats. Also in girls softball, Charles Henderson they beat Opp twice. They beat Opp 4-1 also, led by Carolyn Corson and Raylynn Hornsby. Congratulations to Coach Snyder's girls softball team at Charles Henderson. Enterprise State beat Huntington. That was in baseball yesterday. Want to mention, of course, the John Archer reunion is this weekend, and folks that remember all those great players that played for John Archer back from 1956 through 1973. guys, I grew up watching these guys play basketball, and for the last 10 or so years, we've had a reunion every year. Coach Archer, career, 18-year career, he won 308 games and lost 185. That is an average of 18 wins a year in 18 years. Isn't that something? We average around that. And of course, he had some of the great teams in Troy history. Some of the guys that will be here this weekend, reason I know these guys, I've just watched them play, and a lot of these guys are my good friends, personal friends, and we'll be gathering at the Marriott starting tomorrow night at around 5:30, where we'll have a reception, and where you can come out and see all these guys and talk to them. And of course, we'll be eating dinner Friday night at Sister's, and they look forward to that every year. And then on Saturday, we'll have a big breakfast for them. We're going to have a shoot-around where the team goes, all these guys go to the Trojan Arena and see if they can still put it in the bucket. And then around 8:30, we'll have a buffet breakfast from the Stadium Club. And then the athletic director and a lot of the athletic people will be speaking to the group during that morning session. And then again, the big game is at 4:15. The boys, the girls start at 2 on Saturday, and the boys play, the men play at 4:15, and that's this Saturday afternoon at the Trojan Arena. They'll be playing Louisiana Monroe. Huge game tonight, ladies and gentlemen, and of course for both nights, Thursday and Saturday, kids can 12 and under can get in free, and there'll be a lot of other giveaways and promotion items going on. Of course, the concession stand will have some real good prices on concessions, so it's going to be a lot of fun if you love basketball. Troy's last two games, and of course it'll be a senior night for the boys and the girls, or the men and the women. The great Wesley Person will be one of those seniors that will be playing in his last last two home games of his career here at Troy. And what a great career he's had. He has broke the school scoring record, and of course Troy is trying to turn this thing around and do what they did last year, go to the Sun Belt Conference tournament, which starts on the 6th of March, and it'll be played in New Orleans. And if they could do what they did last year, win that tournament, they can go back to the NCAA championships, and that's what we hope maybe the boys, the men and the women will do. But if you love Troy basketball, this is a great one, and a wonderful game tonight between one of the top teams in the country and the top team in the Sun Belt. Louisiana Lafayette comes to town tonight, and that is a 7:15 start from the Trojan Arena, and we're looking forward to that. I want to mention also some of these guys that will be playing and where they grew up. Of course, and I'm not going to be able to list all of them, but these are some of the guys that will be here. Clayton Bryant, of course, was an outstanding player back in the 60s, and Clayton grew up in a little town called Strawn, Alabama, and in a school that did not play football in high school. Of course, they do now, but he was a great player. Doug Carmichael out of Mobile, and what a great player he was. Doug played a team with Steve Holly and Lamar Andrews, and giving Troy one of the best front lines they ever had. Holly was 6'7", Andrews was 6'7", and Carmichael was 6'5", 6'6", and they really had a great team. I think that team won 26 games that year. I think their record was something like 26-5 and 26-6, and they won the conference championship. Charles Clark, a lot of you know Charles Clark out of New Brockton, Alabama. Of course, came to Troy after playing junior college ball and was an outstanding player, and he'll be here. Dean Craig, who now lives in Enterprise. Of course, Charles lives in Enterprise now, and Carmichael lives on up there in Gunnersville Lake, and Clayton Bryant lives in Andalusia. I know these guys pretty well. Dean Craig was a All-American. He transferred from Florida Southern and back down in Tampa, and believe it or not, he left Florida Southern to follow his basketball coach to Troy. And his basketball coach at Florida Southern happened to be Bill Clipson, who later was Troy's football coach for 10 years. But Dean Craig played for Bill Clipson at Florida Southern, which is a very respectable basketball school in the Tampa area. And Craig had 2 great years, made All-American here at Troy. He was on Archer's first team in 1956, along with another guy named Jerry Tillman. Of course, Dean lives in Enterprise now. Jerry Tillman, the great one, and I mean, he was a great player. He was another player, the other player that played on Archer's first team in 1956, and Tillman lives over in Georgia now, South Georgia, and he will be here this weekend. So looking forward to seeing him. He made All-American, and of course he was from Donaldsonville, Georgia, growing up. He came to Troy from there. I want to mention Dr. Leon Davis, my good friend from Elba, Alabama, and of course he played here, not for Archer, but he was real good friends of Archer's, and he's been involved with this program a long time. William Davis also coached, was assistant coach for Archer for a couple of years, and he'll be there. John Deuce, and hopefully I can get John Deuce on this show tomorrow. What a great player he was out of, I'm not being silly, out of Two Egg, Florida. That's where he grew up, Two Egg, Florida. And of course he came on and out of junior college and played for Troy and was one of the all-time greats. He scored 43 points in one game. That's how good he was, John Deuce. And hopefully I can get John on this show tomorrow. There's going to be a golf tournament. These guys are going to be playing golf Friday afternoon, so I'll be seeing him then. But hopefully he'll come in early and can be on our show tomorrow. Judd Dye, one of the all-time greats, out of Middlesex, Pennsylvania, now living in the Atlanta area. And he and his wife Lassie will be here this weekend. And Lassie was from Union Springs. This guy from up north. How would you like to have a daughter, your daughter growing up in Union Springs, and she brings home this guy from school and says, "Mama, this is Judd Dye, and he wants to eat Sunday lunch with us, and he's from Middlesex, Pennsylvania." Well, the marriage went great, and they come back every year. And but how would you like to be from Union Springs, Alabama, and your daughter brings home this Yankee from Middlesex, Pennsylvania? John Pee Wee Ensland, one of the great guards of all time, out of Robert E. Lee High School in Montgomery. And of course, he was a fraternity brother of mine and good friend. And of course, his brother Bobby Ensland played football at Troy. Actually, is a Hall of Famer. And of course, John Pee Wee Ensland was a great one, still living in Montgomery. Sonny Forrester out of Dothan, and of course Sonny was from Dothan, and a great shooting guard, left-handed guy, and is now living down in a pretty nice little place called Destin, Florida, or Seaside, if you want to call it. And he'll be here Saturday, actually Friday night for the reception. Ronnie Hayes, one of the all-time greats out of Mobile, played at Bagger High School and was an all-time great player at Troy. In fact, I'm sure soon he'll be going into the Hall of Fame. Great man, one of the great people out there, I promise you. And he and his wife will be here. And his wife, he married a Mobile guy, married a girl from Greenville, and the rest is history. And then, of course, Cheryl Hicks will be here. He's out of Newton, Alabama. That's where he was raised, and of course he coached down in Dothan and so forth, but he played basketball under Archer. Another guy that is not going to be able to make it this weekend, W.T. Henry, who was out of Albany, and of course the same place Jerry Tillman lives now. He's in Albany, Georgia. But W.T. Henry was a great coach after he finished at Troy, and just has a great reputation as a basketball coach. And his daughter played for the great coach at Tennessee, and was one of the great players to put Tennessee basketball on the map for years. And I want to mention Steve Holly is coming back, and boy, what a great player out of Sampson. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Holly was one of the great players to ever play for Troy. 6'7", could shoot it, could play defense, he could jump, and of course he and his brother Mickey, the late Mickey Holly, who married one of the prettiest girls ever to grow up in Troy, Ronnie Morgan, and of course the rest is history. And but on that high school team, you had Mickey Holly, Steve Holly, Mickey Holly was one guard, and then of course he graduated when his brother Steve was a junior, and out of Sampson. But at one time you had Steve Holly, Moose Spears came in and played some guard for Sampson on that great Sampson team. But they had the Owens twins, Terry and Jerry Owens, and both of them were about 6'5", 6'6". So this is a high school team with Holly 6'7". The Owens twins were 6'5", and Mickey Holly was 6'2" and a great athlete. And then and that was a great team. And I want to say their coach was named Summerlin, or Summers or Summerlin, and that was a great Sampson team. And of course Steve came on up and was an All-American player at Troy, and his one of the Owens twins ended up going and playing 11 years of pro football with San Diego Chargers. But he went to Alabama on scholarship, left Alabama for some reason. He was a great player, about 6'5", weighed about close to 280 pounds or something like that. And he also he transferred to Jacksonville, where he played basketball and football. And he was went straight up against Steve Holly. Of course, Steve was 6'7", a lot thinner and not near as muscular as Owens was. But when they got on the basketball court, where Owens had intimidated everybody in college basketball that Jacksonville played back then, the only guy he couldn't intimidate was the guy he grew up with, and that was Steve Holly. And Steve took him to lunch every time they played each other. And this was one of the great Troy teams of all time, with Steve Holly I would say at the center position, Carmichael at the forward, Andrews at the other forward. Then you had Pee Wee Enslin and William Thigpen, and Terry Wilkinson also were the guards. Of course, Terry Wilkinson came out of Wilcox County, and of course was a good player. And played guard for Troy for a long time. He'll be here. Hamill Martin out of Decatur, and he went to and of course he played on state championships in basketball and football at Austin High School of Decatur is where he played. He's now living in Montgomery, and of course he was a great player and also played baseball at Troy. Of course, Noah Martin out of Ozark lives now in Camellia, Georgia. He'll be here, and of course he was a fine player. And Jerry Imbriaco, you remember that name? And I don't know if Jerry's going to be here or not, but he's from Elizabeth, New Jersey, and came to Troy. Archer recruited a lot of players from the New York area, and Imbriaco was one of the best free throw shooters in Troy history. Of course, some other players, Frank Miller, boy, what a great player. Banker in Edison, Georgia, came out of a little school in North Florida, and of course Frank Miller was an all-time great player. And of course he teamed with a guy named Paul Word, the late Paul Word. But you had Frank Miller, you had Paul Word, you had George Norton, and of course Norton was a big burly guy out of Miami, Florida, great player. That was Miller, Paul Word, and George Norton. And the guards on that team, a freshman guard was Tommy Whitehurst from Kinston. You remember the great Kinston teams? Well, he was one of the guards on that team. Also, Hamill Martin was the other guard, and Bill Dixon was a guard on that team, the late Bill Dixon. These were all outstanding players, and that was another great Troy team right there. Cook was a 6'7" forward that played a lot on that team, but it was a high-scoring team. Archer's team scored a lot of points, and that was a great team. Of course, we lost Paul Word not long ago, but he was one of my all-time favorites, and what a great player he was. And the great thing about a sad situation, we lost Paul a couple of years ago, but not before he was inducted in the Troy University Sports Hall of Fame, and we were so proud to see that happen. Of course, Bob Moore. Bob lives in Dothan. Now, Bob Moore did something that very few Troy people have ever done. He was a star pitcher and first baseman on the baseball team. He played tackle on the football team, and he played forward on the basketball team. Bob Moore physically won't be able to make it, but is still living in the Dothan area, and he was a great player. Another player out of Selma, Alabama, was Mike Sexton, and they call him Crow. He was out of Selma, and all those Selma folks will remember the Sextons. All of them were great basketball players, and he played for some of Archer's better teams. Kenny Shaw, and they call, of course, Kenny Shaw was raised in New York City, now living in Vero Beach, Florida, but he was another one of those guys that Archer was able to recruit from up north, and they moved down south, and were great players. Nick Severe is enjoying this a lot because he remembers all these guys. The great Bobby Terrell from Greenville, Alabama, and one of the all-time greats, and he'll be there. Bobby comes to every Troy game and was a great player. He actually graduated and went to Auburn to play football, but he had an injury to his knee and couldn't play any more football. They said he was one of the best football players to ever come out of Greenville, Alabama, and this part of the area. But he came back and started in basketball for Troy, and still living, and will be here Saturday. And Larry Thorpe out of Atlanta, Georgia, one of the great shooters and jumpers, now living in Dothan. Larry Thorpe will be here on Saturday, and he'll enjoy everything. And Dorsey Billy Stick Walls out of Woodland, Alabama. And, of course, Big Stick Walls still can shoot it, and he'll be one of the top shooters at that shoot-around. But he played on some of the Archer's ladder teams. He was about 6'7", skin and bones. They call him Stick, but he could fill it up and was a great shooter. Of course, we mentioned earlier the great Tommy Whitehurst out of Kinston. And a lot of people don't realize what great teams they came out of Kinston back in the 60s. Of course, that's all they did was play basketball back then. New Brockton, Strawn, Kinston, Pleasant Home. I'm trying to think of a few more that all they did. Castleberry. All they did was play basketball. They didn't play football. And of course, New Brockton had some great players come out of there. How good would a Charles Clark been in football if he had gone to Enterprise to play football instead of playing basketball in New Brockton? One of his teammates, ladies and gentlemen, is a local veterinarian from right here in Troy who played on that New Brockton State Championship team under Coach Steele, the great Coach Steele at New Brockton. And, of course, that guy, call in, and I want to see if somebody knows who I'm talking about. You see him as a veterinarian, but you didn't realize that he was a top-notch basketball player at New Brockton. I want to mention some other players that will be here that we look forward to. Terry Wilkerson, as I mentioned, is out of Wilcox County and former superintendent of education for the Monroe County schools and city of Monroeville. And he always comes back and plays a little golf and has a good time. All of these guys, of course, there's a lot more of them. Some of them are deceased, but some of the great players of all time played for Coach John Archer. And I grew up watching them. Of course, that's why I'm so such a huge fan of these guys. I didn't have a lot of money as a kid, so I had to find a way to get in that gym at Old Wright Hall, and I saw some of the great basketball games of all time right there. And of course, I'm younger than these guys, but hey, they know this, that I know who they are, and I remember them very well, and that's why I'm so involved every year with this group. First of all, I loved Coach John Archer. And if you knew John Archer, you know, he called his players po' boys. He, of course, he was a little of a northern guy. He came here from Arkansas, but he lived his childhood up north. But he called them po' boys always, and even girls that had classes under him. You know, they could tell stories not only as John Archer, the basketball player, but John Archer, the teacher. And he was really a character. And, of course, played golf out here at Troy Country Club for many years. And I'll remember something and it probably was something that will never be done again. He had open heart surgery, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know exactly how old he was then, but I would say he was probably in his mid-70s when he had the open heart surgery. That next week, he made a hole-in-one after he got recovered. After a couple of weeks of after he recovered, he did something that probably has not been done by many people in the history of golf. He made 2 hole-in-ones in 1 week. He made a hole-in-one on a Monday, Monday, and then he came back and made another hole-in-one on a Saturday. Do a little research and see how many people did that. Good morning. You're on Today in L.A. How you doing?
Morning.
Mike Amos calling in from Birmingham. I'm going over all these John Archer names, Mike, and we're going to have a great weekend this weekend.
Yeah, Coach Archer, I was looking at him on, he's on Wikipedia the other day, won 305 games, and he was at Troy a long time.
Well, he was there for 18 years, and he came in after Servestini, who was a very good coach. And you know, a lot of these guys played for Servestini, and but Archer was a unique individual, and everybody that knew him loved him. Devout Catholic, just like Don Maestri, Mike, and really was a great coach, and
Seems
everybody
like a lot of
loved him.
coaches over the years have been Catholic, it seems like.
Yeah, like Petrino. In fact, Patino.
Saban's a devout Catholic. He's in Mass every Sunday.
Is he really?
Yep.
Rick Pitino, Mike, is planning on suing the NCAA and will probably win.
He's got to do something to save face. You know, basically everything he's accomplished in basketball is kind of tarnished now. You know, his reputation, and he should have been fired numerous times for, you know, things he did off the court. I mean, he's a creepy guy, to say the least.
Well, he must be now. His second love was horse racing, and he had some big time horses at one time, didn't he?
Yeah, but I mean, his name's now in the mud forever. I mean, they're taking away the national championship they won. They're taking the banner out of the arena.
Oh man!
I mean, having to vacate all those wins. I mean, it's just one of those things. He's tarnished forever. So.
But you know, and you're right. You look at him and you want to frisk him. You know what I mean? You want to frisk him and see if he's carrying a heater.
They've saved his job so many times. It's crazy. But,
Did they really?
I mean, Calipari. You know, I mean, John Calipari. I mean, the Kentucky coach. You know, he's got the same issues. He's got to vacate Final Fours, probation investigations. I mean,
who is going to lose their job?
A lot of these guys are just crooked as can be. The only one you really never even hear about. I mean, Roy Williams, North Carolina, had the huge academic scandal, and the only person you really don't hear about is Coach K.
Yeah, he's on he's one of the only clean ones.
He's one of the few guys you never hear about.
Yeah, coffee.
I tell you what, Troy is not getting a lot of love tonight out of Vegas. Lafayette's a 7-point favorite at Troy.
Yeah. Want to mention our good friends at
Vegas knows a lot. Auburn was an 8-point favorite in that game last night.
Well, you know,
8-point favorite. 8-point favorite. Their best big guys out for the year, dislocated ankle, and then their second scorer, Mustafa Heron, who averages 18.5 a game.
Thank you so much.
Is out as well.
Yeah, they had 7 scholarship players playing against Alabama last night. But let me just say this, though. Alabama's not a good shooting team. They haven't been a good shooting team for a long time. You know, not since the days of Godfrey and
rebound and penetrate.
Yeah, and of course, you know, people get in the zone on them. They get in the zone on them, and they can't shoot. You know.
How about this? I knew Lafayette was good, but Lafayette is 23-4.
23-4.
23-4.
They play Troy tonight. Hey, we need to gang up on them tonight. We need you know what? We need a home court advantage like Auburn had last night. I was at the baseball game, and everybody I asked that was going, I asked if they had tickets. They said no.
I mean, seriously, I would literally go to Sister's Restaurant today. I would go to maybe another restaurant. I'd go to just walking around the university. I'd go downtown with tickets if I was East Troy Athletic Department staffers.
Yeah.
And just basically just give tickets away today.
Yeah. Well, they've got a deal where 12 and under.
Him up tonight.
You know, the key is this, and this is the philosophy: kids 12 and under get in free. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the big question mark is somebody's got to bring them. And those folks will pay a regular price to get in the gym.
So how many fans were at the Auburn Troy baseball game?
I would say about 2,000 or 3,000. It was that's a beautiful venue right there.
Yeah, that is a really nice baseball stadium.
You'll get a kick out of this, Mike. The Terry Sykes baseball tournament, named after the great Terry Sykes, former coach and player at Charles Henderson. Charles Henderson plays Bibb County today at 11. They play Oak Mountain, and this is games that will be played on Saturday. Charles Henderson and Bibb County play at 11 at Charles Henderson High School. Oak Mountain plays Polk County, Georgia at 11 at Troy University's Riddle Pace Field. Bibb County plays Polk County, Georgia at 11:30. Charles Henderson plays Oak Mountain. You know who they are, out of Birmingham at 4.
Yeah, that's going to be brutal. I play Oak Mountain.
So there's going to be a lot of good. Pike Liberal Arts plays at Northside Methodist. Boy, they've got a good team, Mike.
I mean, did you mention Charles Henderson's girls going to the Final Four yet?
Oh, yeah. I mentioned them a lot. Yeah, I talked about them a lot. I still don't know.
I read an article on Facebook that says Charles Henderson hangs on. They won 36-22.
Yeah, and they shot terrible
They
percentage.
won by 14 points, but they hung on.
Yeah, I told you how good they are at the free throw line. The bunch slowed it down and fouled them, and that's how Charles Henderson.
If they win that first game, that's the game that's for the state championship. They play Winona first.
That's right, no question about it. And I'm gonna try to be there. The 28th falls on what day? Mike, next week.
I don't know. I'll have to look and see. I'm gonna have to try to find a way to get to that game. Hopefully.
Yeah, that'd be fun. No question about it. And of course, the Final Four is a great honor for any team.
A lot more to do down at the BJCC than over the years.
Yeah.
You know, they have the Uptown District now, where they have several different restaurants and things to do down there next to the Westin Hotel, and then they also have Top Golf. It's like an indoor golf / restaurant bar where you can go hit golf balls. I mean, there's a lot more to do down around the BJCC than ever.
Well, I tell you, Birmingham needs to do that.
Anybody coming up for a trip, staying overnight, there's everything's just walking distance now. It's nice.
No question. Good article though about Charles Henderson in the Dothan paper, Mike. They really got great coverage, and everybody's talking about how Charles Henderson won. Well, first of all, they shooting such terrible percentage. They created 24 turnovers to Faith. Faith turned it over 24 times. Charles Henderson was credited with 10 steals, 6 by Tutu Jones, who is the coach's daughter, and she's just a 10th grader. And I still don't know how many points the Davenport kid got. Now, here it is right here. Davenport was held at 10 points. She had 9 rebounds and was an easy choice as the region's most valuable player. But Davenport was 2 of 13 shooting with 9 rebounds and 7 offensive rebounds off the glass. So, like the coach said, we were playing dead. I was getting frustrated with some of the hits and no calls. Of course, they were double teaming Davenport, and that's why their plan was to beat Charles Henderson. Faith's plan was to double team Davenport and hope that they could create some turnovers, and they did. And but too much Charles Henderson at the free throw line.
Yeah. Also in that tournament, Eufaula's men won. They beat Faith Academy.
They're real good. Eufaula.
Going to the Final Four as well.
You're right. They're very good, and they've been good for a long time. Eufaula. I don't know what it is about them and basketball. Boy, I tell you what, everybody's trying to bring old Tiger back, and Tiger, I think you'll see him playing in almost every tournament from here on. So until he finds the way to get his swing back, but I don't know if it'll ever happen. It was a bit of back and forth, but Auburn got the job done against Troy on Wednesday, with neither side able to create much separation. Auburn was able to sneak one out at Planchman Park with a win thanks to a game-ending double play. We were fortunate tonight to turn a double play when it mattered the most and get out of here with a win, says head baseball coach Butch Thompson. And of course, Auburn broke a 5-5 tie in the 8th inning, and then of course Troy got the lead run or the tying run on third base with 1 out in the top of the ninth, but then grounded into a double play to end the game. But it was Troy against a good Auburn team. Troy now 4-1. Auburn now 6-0 on the year. And
the double play at the end of the game, was it even close at first? Or
no, it wasn't even close. It wasn't even close. It was just a perfect.
If the guy could have beat it out, the run would have scored, and the game would have been tied.
Yeah. A lot of good things tonight. We didn't execute very well, though. Troy coach Mark Smart said we gave them opportunities to score, and we need to clean that up. Auburn bunted the ball a bunch, Mike, and got Troy in trouble bunting the baseball. And
I know Auburn's real fast, real athletic.
Yeah, but let me tell you this:
the Honda Classic right now, after 6 holes, the leader in
Tiger
round
Woods
1 is Tiger Woods at 2 under.
2 under, so Tiger could be coming back quicker.
Live update from the Honda Classic.
Well, you can't be as great as he is.
Gardens, Florida.
You can't be as great as he was earlier in his career, and just lose it all. He'll come back and win some tournaments.
I want to get up with Will Matthews. I want to go to the Masters one of these years for a practice round.
Yeah, that would be fun, and I think we can probably pull that off. We'll try to do that.
Well, they got a lottery where you can win a lottery where you can go to practice rounds. I've had friends do that in Birmingham. I've been to Augusta, and I've never been to the Masters. It's hard to believe. I've got about 20 Masters caps, but never been.
Thanks to your daddy, is that right?
Well, thanks to Will Matthews.
Yeah, exactly right. Of course, Troy talking about that ball game and what a great game it was. It was a super game, but they've got a kid, Mike, this Lothridge kid for Troy. He can fly, and he made all kinds. I bet he had 8 or 9 putouts in center field. The only one that he didn't make, he had to jump all the way to the top of the scoreboard, top of the wall in center field, and he made a miraculous catch there. But he is quite a player. And then, like I said, the New York Yankees were scouting, and they were sitting right next to me. I said, "Y'all gotta like this guy." He said, "Well, he's the reason we're here." That's what he said.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he can fly, Mike. He has great speed. He beat out an infield hit that people just could not get over how fast he ran down to first base. And he's just a good, solid player. He's a great defensive center fielder. It's hard to hit anything around him that he won't get. Now, Troy.
I mean, it's going to be a lot different, for Troy going into the weekend. They'll have all their aces going against Florida State.
And I'm looking really forward to seeing. And of course, I want you to know that
they got Crane going Friday night. He's pretty tough to beat.
Exactly, and of course and then you got the kid from out here at Banks, Mike, that is really a fine player.
Yeah, Russ Hickson.
Russ Hickson, and he'll be pitching in that rotation. If I wasn't tied up with this reunion this weekend, I would be there for every game. I think that's going to be a fun time. Ladies and gentlemen, you want to watch a great Troy.
A fun town.
I mean, to go to a good baseball game, seeing Troy, your Troy team, play in one of the best programs in America at Florida State. At Florida State at Dick Hauser Stadium. And you've been there before, haven't you, Mike?
I was there, what is it, about 5 years ago when Troy went to the regionals and Troy beat Alabama twice in that regional.
But and you had a lot of fun, didn't you?
You were over in Europe, I believe.
That's right. And hey, you had some barbecue from a pretty good barbecue place too, didn't you?
We actually didn't go there. We went to some other places when we were down there. I know the one you're talking about, Troy, but we ended up just going to some other places when we got down there. But what you could do is you could go down there and go to those games, and then you could work your way down to spring training down in Florida.
Yeah, when does it start? Does it start this weekend?
Yeah, it's already started. Pitchers and catchers, I think everybody's down there now.
Do you remember going to spring training and they had an Easter egg hunt? Do you remember that?
I just remember being like literally like almost felt like you're at a high school game. It was so laid back.
And the rudest baseball player you've ever seen in your life was who?
What, Wade Boggs?
No, Pete Rose. You remember Pete Rose wouldn't sign autographs.
You know, I was out in Vegas the other day, and it was the saddest thing. I was out in Vegas in November, and we were at the the Mandalay Bay MGM Grand Resort. So there's like a glorified like Galleria Mall attached to it. I mean, that's how ritzy and nice.
Oh yeah, sure, everything is out there.
And it was just a sporting goods store in the middle of the day, and Pete Rose was there, and he looks just old as could be, wearing an old cap, and he was sitting there for hours, and you had to pay like $75.
Yeah, what I'm saying, it cost you money to get his autograph. That's how he makes money.
Or maybe $100 for memorabilia and this and that, but there was nobody in line. There was not one soul
wanting to get his autograph.
Walked by there 2 different times. Yeah. He was just sitting there on his phone.
Well, he was a great player, but he was also a very arrogant player, and
well, I mean, he's got to be bitter. He's not in the Hall of Fame too.
And he was a great one, no question about it. Over 4,000 hits. Nobody's come close, have they?
I mean, the only person that's come close is, I think.
Rod Carew, or who?
Carew, had 3,700 maybe. I can't think of anybody else.
But I mean, his records will probably.
Ichiro's surpassed him for his playing in
Japan,
and the major leagues.
Yeah,
he's got more hits, but they're not counting it.
Want to mention our friends at Jean's Flowers today, and what a beautiful flowers that they sent over to my friend's funeral the other day, and gosh, they do great work. Gosh, they've been around for a long time. Jean's Flowers are, of course, located here on South Brundage Street in Troy, Noble Manor for assisted living. No better place. And, of course, First National Bank of Troy Brundage. I want to say good morning to the Ramages and, of course, John Ramage, President, CEO, and all my good friends there. I want to also mention Dowling Rentals, ladies and gentlemen. And, of course, they are Dowling Truck and Track that's been there for years.
Yeah, go down there.
But now Dowco Rentals,
Yeah, go down there and see Richard down there at Dowling down there in Enterprise.
Yeah, no question. Of course, they rent from a lawnmower to a bulldozer. They rent those heavy equipment and everything you need.
Those real nice SUV. I mean, our ATVs. Those Polaris for hunting season.
Want to mention Dixieland Dental, located 9 miles north of Dothan on Highway 231. Dr. Michael Precise, Dr. John Strength, Dr. Damon Strength, and Dr. Robert Precise make up one of the largest dental clinics in Alabama. We appreciate them. They're a long-time sponsor of our show, and we appreciate them so much. And, of course, want to mention also, Mike, Pike County Ford. They got a tremendous inventory of new and used Ford cars and trucks, and they've got a great selection of used cars on their lot today. And we appreciate Jeremy Perez and all his folks. Of course, Jeremy's moving his family to Troy, and as owner of Pike County Ford, Mississippi State guy, Mike, from same place your old mom-in-law's from.
Yeah, Millport, Alabama.
Millport, Alabama. He's a great guy, and
he got to want to get to Millport, Alabama.
Yeah, you're right. No question about it. But also, I want to mention our good friends at Hook's Barbecue, and of course, for a barbecue anytime, whether or not you're wanting to feed 12 people or whether or not you just want to feed your family for a meal, they cater wonderful food.
I'm going to be in Troy around 6 o'clock tomorrow night. I tell you, Hook's Barbecue would be pretty good for my wife and my little baby girls to have when we get there.
Really? All right, Hook's Barbecue, and of course, I had the camp stew the other night that was just wonderful. You know what I did, though? I put some butter beans in there, and it made it even better.
I tell you what, though, their ribs are so good. I mean,
all right, you want ribs? Is that right? You want ribs?
We came one time. We had like a slab of ribs that just got reheated in the oven.
That's what we'll do. I'll have you a slab of ribs. How about that?
Yeah, we definitely want to try to get.
Well, you gonna be going down to Red Bar Land. Will you eat at the Red Bar?
I'll definitely eat the Red Bar probably a couple times. We're big
Yeah.
fans of going there for lunch.
Yeah, no question about it.
We like it on Sundays though because they got the bluegrass music down there as well. Drake Clampett, a band we like a lot, plays.
Yeah, they are a good band. Want to mention our good friends at Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram Trucks on the bypass in Troy. Brand new dealership. Jason and all the great folks there have a tremendous selection of Dodge, Chrysler, Jeeps, and all kinds of used cars on their lot right now. So brand new dealership, and believe you me, they're dealing. And of course, we appreciate all of our car dealers, First Citizens Bank of Luverne, William Petrie, and all the great folks there. I also want to mention my good buddy over at Troy Nissan on the bypass, and I tell you, Dwayne Webb has been in the car business a long time, and he always has a great selection of new and used cars and trucks to choose from at Troy Nissan on the bypass right here in Troy, and we appreciate them so much. And also Bird Drugs right here located in downtown Troy. And man, is that the best bacon you ever eaten in your life, Mike?
It definitely ranks up there pretty high.
It's that Kelly's bacon out of Elba, Alabama.
I was telling my wife the other day, we were eating at Cracker Barrel, and I love their pancakes there. They're probably my favorite ever. But their bacon is so average. Bird's Drugs.
Yeah.
Their bacon.
Oh, I tell you what.
Like that, it doesn't even compare.
Their food is excellent. Their sandwiches are delicious. Their milkshakes the best in town.
Chicken sauce sandwiches there too.
I'd like to have that money back for how many times you charged something at Bird's. I had to pay for it.
Growing up, I could either charge a Bird.
Somebody told me you went in there and charged something the other day, and you're 45 years old.
I'm not 45 years old. I'm 41.
41 years old. I'm cutting up with you. Hope you've enjoyed our show, ladies and gentlemen. And of course,
I hope Troy can pull off that win tonight. That's
going to be a big one.
A win that they'll be talking about for a long time. They beat a team that's 23-4.
All right, now quickly, you'll watch that on TV, won't you?
Yeah, I'll be able to watch it on ESPN3 on my Fire Stick, Amazon Fire Stick. I can watch it.
Is that easy to do?
You can watch it through the computer through Troy Cable. I have like digital streaming devices and stuff like that where I can pick it up.
Yeah.
So
appreciate all of our sponsors, of course, Bill Jackson Chevrolet on the bypass in Troy, and also Marguerite's for fine jewelry, and of course we appreciate Bill Jackson and the great support they give our show. Sarah, there are doctors available without an appointment right now at Sarah on the Elba Enterprise Highway. Hope you have a great day. We'll see you bright and early in the morning for Today in LA.